What if one day you opened your savings account and saw a tiny invisible hand guiding every interest note that landed in your pocket, as if the world's money were being whispered by a secret club hidden in the shadows? Imagine a world where the ordinary act of saving is no longer a quiet choice but a silent tug pulled by an underground syndicate, a hidden force that keeps everyone's coins dancing on a rhythm set by unseen eyes. What if this hidden rhythm could be discovered? And if you could use it, could you make the world work for you? Or would you be the next puppet in a game you never wanted to play? The story begins in the grey suburbs of a small town where the hum of traffic blends with the clink of refrigerators. 27-year-old Marcus lives in a modest apartment that smells faintly of coffee and cold pizza. He works 2 jobs, a night shift at the local supermarket and a day job in the customer or service department of a tech startup that never seems to pay on time. Every month his paycheck slinks into the same old bank account, a place that grows a little more barren as he pays bills, sends money home to his mother, and keeps a tiny emergency stash that shrinks faster than the moon phases. Money to Marcus is a mountain he must climb each day, and the summit feels forever out of reach. One rainy afternoon, while scrolling through an online forum for people trying to escape debt, Marcus stumbles across a thread titled "The Silent Interest Rate." The post is a cryptic series of numbers and symbols, a puzzle wrapped in an email address that leads to a public domain archive. The comment section is mostly empty, except for one reply from a user called Aurelius. Aurelius writes in a tone that feels like a whisper. What if the interest you earn is not what the bank promises, but what a secret group earns for setting your rates? What if that group is running the world like a quiet orchestra? Marcus, who usually doubts the world beyond his paycheck, feels a strange itch. The idea that there might be a hidden hand behind his modest savings tickles his imagination like a mischievous dream. He reads through the archive, a tangle of old economic papers, abandoned spreadsheets, and a letter from an economist named Dr. Lydia Voss, who disappeared from the public eye after claiming that the true interest rate is not recorded. Marcus's heart pounds. The ordinary life he knew seems suddenly like a dull canvas, and a fresh, darker picture is beginning to form. He cannot sleep that night. The image of a silent, invisible hand that can set rates for anyone, anywhere, sits in his mind like a secret promise. He decides to investigate to see whether he can follow the path that Aurelius hinted at. He will follow a thread that leads him into the underbelly of global finance, a path that is both thrilling and terrifying. The next day, Marcus starts digging. He visits the local library, flipping through stacks of economics journals looking for anything that might give a clue. His fingers trace the spines of dusty books, invisible forces in capital markets, unrecorded rates, the shadow of central banking. In each book he finds hints that the world's saving rates might be manipulated by a group that keeps its actions hidden beneath the layers of legal frameworks. Each paragraph feels like a small secret, a whisper that pushes him further. One evening he finds a forum post by a mysterious user named Ghostcoin. They claim to have discovered a way to tap into the silent interest. They speak of a ledger, an untraceable chain of transactions, a secret code that adjusts rates. The message ends with a link to a video that purports to show how a single bank account can be adjusted to earn a higher rate without the bank even knowing. Marcus watches the video. It shows a screen with numbers shifting, a voice in the background saying, "The silent rate is the pulse of the market that no one sees. When we adjust it, the world's savings follow." The video ends abruptly and the channel goes offline. Marcus's pulse rises. He realizes he has stumbled onto something that could change his life. If it works, he decides to test it. He thinks of a small experiment, like feeding a few pennies into a machine and seeing if they grow. It is a gamble, but in the world where he barely survives, a gamble is an opportunity. He finds a secure software tool that lets him adjust his interest rate. He sets his account to the new silent rate. The next day his balance is a little higher than before. It is a small increase, but enough to make Marcus feel like he's caught a wind in a quiet room. He smiles at his reflection in the bank's security camera, and for the first time in months he feels hope. The next month the silent rate continues to grow his savings. The numbers stack up like small bricks, each one building a new wall of possibilities. Marcus starts sending a portion of the increased interest to his mother, who thanks him from a distance. He begins to dream about a future where he can quit his night shift, spend more time with his friends, and maybe buy a small house. But the deeper he goes, the more he realizes the secret is not a simple trick. The silent rate is a moving target. When Marcus checks his statements, he notices that the rate changes in small increments like a heartbeat. He begins to suspect that someone is controlling it, not just a random algorithm. He writes to Aurelius asking for more details, but the forum remains silent. In the middle of his investigation, he meets a reclusive figure, a retired economist named Dr. Lydia Voss, who appears in a local coffee shop. Her hair is grey, but her eyes shine with the fire of a mind that never gave up. She hears Marcus's story and warns him, the silent rate is not a tool, it is a lever. If you lift it, you lift the entire economy. People will come for it and you will become a target. The ethical question rises. Should he spread it to others or should he keep it a secret? The thought of everyone's savings being guided by a hidden syndicate is frightening. What if the hidden hand is selfish? What if it manipulates people into giving up their hard-earned money? In the middle of his research, a group shows up at Marcus's apartment. A menacing man named Silas, wearing a suit that has never been seen on the streets, knocks at his door. He claims to work for a global syndicate that has discovered the silent rate. He offers Marcus a partnership. Together, they will use the secret to control savings worldwide. Marcus feels a cold fear wash over him. He remembers Dr. Voss's warning. He also remembers the small joy that grew in his pocket. He has a choice: use the power to change the world for the better, or stop it before it destroys balance. He sits at his desk, staring at the ledger. The numbers flicker like a pulse. His phone rings. Aurelius' voice on the line says, "We need to act fast. The syndicate is already using the silent rate in some countries. They're draining the world's savings and feeding their own pockets. We must expose them." In the climax, Marcus decides to confront the syndicate. He arranges a meeting in a deserted warehouse. Silas is waiting, flanked by men. The lights flicker. Marcus speaks in a low voice. "You think you can control everything. You think you can bend the world's savings to your will. You're not the only one who sees the silent rate." Silas laughs, a cruel sound that echoes in the empty space. He pulls a device from his pocket, an old-fashioned calculator that pulses with a soft blue light. He says, "We are the guardians of the silent rate. We'll use it to keep the world in balance." Marcus pulls out a small device of his own, a tablet with a ledger he created. He begins to write a story, a simple message that anyone can understand. The silent interest rate is not a secret to keep. It is a tool for all. Silas watches, his eyes wide. In that instant, the warehouse becomes a stage where a secret is exposed. The syndicate's leaders, listening from a hidden room, feel the world tilt. Their control crumbles. Marcus's voice rises and a new truth becomes clear. Money is a story that we tell to each other. It is not an end, but a way to survive, to grow, to help. The story ends with a thought that lingers. Marcus, looking at his account, sees the silent rate still pulsing. He smiles. He knows that he could keep using the silent rate to give people a boost, or he could let it be an open secret so that no one can control the world's money. He chooses the latter, and his small act of sharing could ripple out like a quiet wind that touches every corner of the globe. In the end, the silent interest rate is not a hidden power for the elite, but a quiet reminder that every savings account, every coin, can be a story of hope. The world might never know exactly how much it is worth, but the promise that a single individual can change the narrative without work will forever make Marcus's heart beat faster. The secret remains, but so does the possibility that anyone with a little courage can write their own ending.
Found this interesting? Subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like, share it out, and drop your questions or ideas in the comments. Until our next adventure.